If you've ever tried learning Spanish, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You learn the rules, you get the patterns down, and just when you feel confident, you run smack into them, the rebels, the verbs that just refuse to play by the rules. But what if I told you it's not chaos? What if it's a code? And before we crack it, if you enjoy stories that make you see the world a little differently, please go ahead and follow the channel and share this. It really does help this community grow, and it lets me bring more stories just like this to you.
All right, let's get into it. Think of the Spanish language like a city. You've got the main streets, right? That's the world of regular verbs. Everything is orderly, predictable, and works just like it's supposed to. But underneath all that, there's a whole underworld run by these gangs of irregular verbs. Our mission today? We're going in, and we're going to crack their code.
Okay, our first lead takes us to a group that's, well, they're masters of disguise. They look normal, they act normal, most of the time. We're going to call them the imposters.
The whole secret to this first group is that they only show their true colors in one very, very specific moment, when you talk about yourself, the yo form. I mean, they hide in plain sight, and their entire trick hinges on that one moment when you get personal.
Let's look at their MO. Take the verb hacer, which means to do or to make. Now, following the rules, the yo form should be hago. Simple enough, but here's the imposter's trick. They swap that C for a G, and boom, it becomes hago. It's a subtle switch, but it changes everything.
And check this out. This shows you just how clever they are. Look at the whole conjugation. After that one little act of rebellion, hago, the verb just slips its disguise right back on. Haces, hace, hacemos. Suddenly it's perfectly regular again. The crime is literally over in a flash.
And this isn't just one rogue verb. Oh no, this gang is deep. You've got poner, which becomes pongo, salir becomes salgo, traer becomes traigo. The move is always the same, a single hidden change in the yo form. So clue number one is cracked. Always keep an eye on the yo form.
All right, let's move on to the next crew, because this is where it gets interesting. These guys, they're bolder. They don't just change one little letter at the end, they change their very core. These are the shapeshifters.
So the key to understanding this group is what we call a stem change. The stem is like the heart of the verb, and these rebels have figured out how to completely warp it. But like any good criminal, they have a tell. They always leave a clue behind.
Let's examine their work. Here's querer, to want. The core vowel e suddenly morphs into ie, so you get quiero, quieres, quiere. But did you notice something kind of weird? Take a look at nosotros and vosotros. It's queremos and queréis. The stem's change is just gone. They don't pull this move when it's we or you all. That's a very specific pattern.
And that pattern, that's their signature. It's their footprint. If you actually draw a line around all the forms that change, the yo, tú, él, and ellos forms, the shape you end up with looks just like a boot. This is how we track them. They're literally called boot verbs.
Now these shapeshifters have different specialties, you know? Some change an O to a U, like dormir becoming duermo. Others will change an E to an I, like pedir becoming pido. But here's the thing. No matter what the change is, they all leave the exact same footprint, the boot. But then you have the ones who don't bother with subtle tricks or patterns. They operate right out in the open, and they seem to follow no rules whatsoever. These are the true outlaws of the Spanish language.
Verbs like ser, estar, and ir, they are the most notorious of the bunch. They seem to change in almost every single form. It's just a whirlwind of irregularity that feels totally impossible to pin down.
I mean, just look at the verb ir, to go. The original verb has an I and an R, but the conjugated forms, voy, vas, va, where in the world did that V even come from? It feels like pure chaos. And honestly, for these guys, the only way is to just learn their habits one by one. But even they have their own kind of logic. You just start to see it over time.
Okay, so now we know the gangs. We've got the imposters with their yo form trick, we've got the shapeshifters with their boot-shaped footprint, and we have the outlaws who just do their own thing. We have all the pieces of the puzzle. It's time to face the masterminds behind it all.
This is the question that cracks the whole thing wide open. What happens when a verb learns the tricks from two different gangs? What happens when a rebel starts combining the methods?
Let's look at the evidence. The verb tener, to have. At first glance, this thing is a total mess. The yo form is tingo, but then it's tienes and tiene, and then it snaps back to normal for tenemos. I mean, what is even going on here?
And here it is, the big reveal. This isn't some new crazy crime. It's a combination of the crimes we've already solved. Look, the yo form dengo. That's the imposter's G-change trick. Then, inside the boot, it uses the shapeshifter's E to IE trick. Tienes, tiene, tienen. And what about outside the boot? Tenemos, tenéis. Perfectly regular. The rebels got away, but they left their whole plan behind.
So that's the secret. That's the whole thing. The scariest, most difficult verbs in Spanish aren't actually creating new rules. They're just masterminds, combining the patterns we've already uncovered. Verbs like decir and venir, they do the exact same thing. Once you know the imposter's trick and the shapeshifter's footprint, you basically have the keys to the entire underworld.
So, the rebellion. It was never random chaos. It was a system all along. There was a code hidden in plain sight, and now you know how to read it. The rebels, they've just become predictable.
And maybe that's the real secret here. Language isn't just some dusty old set of rules we have to memorize. It's alive. It's a living, breathing thing that has a history, that has a logic, and yeah, that has its rebels, each one with a story and a secret, just waiting for us to figure it out. If this story moved you or made you think differently, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and follow the channel for more stories like this.